All right. Well, if you happen to watch me paint the last time I streamed instead of Joe, I was working on some of these snow trooper speeder bikes, and since I'm really slow, I'm still working on them because I haven't touched them since that stream. Um, yeah, neither Joe or Kurt are here right now. They both decided to forget about um, Ahsoka, so they're busy doing that, I guess, instead of hanging out with us. Because now I gotta find the paint I'm looking for. Is it this one? Yeah. Gonna start out now working on doing all the gray colored bits on the bikes. For that, for my army, I've been using this army painter necromancer cloak. Um, Gotta shake the hell out of this dumb paint. It's always a problem with army painter ones, as they tend to separate out from their, like the pigments separate out from the medium really bad all the time. Oh, let's get into her here. Hopefully, Joe or Kurt finish up Ahsoka soon, so they'll join and I have someone to talk to in voice chat. And you guys don't have to listen to just me, because I know I wouldn't want to. It's the thing, every time I go back and listen to old podcast episodes or videos we recorded, I just wonder how anyone can listen to my voice. I hate my own voice. And I know that's something I probably shouldn't be admitting as I'm here trying to get people to watch and listen to me, but it is what it is. So one thing I do hate about this necromancer cloak color is gets just a little bit, it tends to just run a little bit too thin. So sometimes I end up having to put two coats on some areas. And I know some people might tell you that two thin coats is ideal, but you know, sometimes it's just nice to only do one, especially when you have a pile of bikes to do. Although down to just these four now, so that's not too bad. course, now they have Tempest Squad as a battle force. So at some point, I'm gonna have to paint up some more traditional brown speeder bikes. Um, do some indoor bases, things like that. But for now, these guys, oh shit, you know, that'll get covered up when I do a bit of weathering down at the bottom of their capes, anyways. So a little bit of smudge of gray on there isn't even going to be noticed by the time I'm done with all the weathering. No big deal. But yeah, these are obviously going to be part of my Blizzard Force army for Legion. Um, I've always really enjoyed playing snowtroopers. They've probably been consistently my favorite unit in the game ever since they've come out. So when Blizzard Force became a thing, I was very happy. And for me, it's more of like I said, I just really enjoy playing snowtroopers, and I think they look really cool. Um, the fact that they're a really good battle force is secondary, icing on the cake. Hmm. See, does this part need to be gray or black? So here's one that I painted up that's been completed with the traditional scout troopers on them. So just looking back on one of these guys for color reference. That way I don't have to keep running over to like my toy cabinet where I have some some speeder bikes in there to keep checking on what parts should be gray and like basically I took the traditional paint job and whatever was gray is still gray. Whatever bits were brown in the like Endor Return of the Jedi speeder bikes are now white for these guys.
Hello?
Oh, hey,
Howdy.
welcome to the stream, Joe.
Ooh, more no trooper speeder guys.
Uh,
I'm going to start my Republic Commandos. I was going to work on my terrain after I finished my bounty hunters, but I haven't primed it yet, so I'm going to work on these commandos. Because I thought I was almost done with all my Ewoks also, but one of the stores in town was having a sale that was like get one thing like Legion is 35% off or something. But if you buy two things, it's 40% off. And if you buy three things, everything's 50% off. So a bunch of people were just like telling Chris to go pick stuff up and pay him back. So I was like, I mean, I'd take a thing of Ewoks for 50% off. So now I have one more squad of Ewoks I got to make. And then Chris 3D printed me some stuff that I want to see if I can implement onto my ATST,
Nice.
like the trooper helmets on spikes.
Um, how's focus looking here?
Looks good.
Cool. Like I tested and adjusted before the stream, but sometimes Streamlabs is dumb and just sort of resets all that stuff. So, um, want to make sure we were still good.
Hey, it's Kurt.
Hey, hear me?
Howdy, howdy, yeah.
Yeah. Welcome. Stream.
Boy, I do wish we could talk about Ahsoka right now because I kind of want to, but
Yeah, best not to probably. I am just really enjoying it.
yeah, it's a good show.
It does still have the same sort of like production quality as all the other non-Andor shows, where it feels like somewhere slightly better than a
It's
fan
better to me
film,
than
but
most of them. I
yeah,
don't know.
I will say this episode more than any other one totally felt like an episode of Rebels, right down to like the very last moment before the credits. Like when it, like character makes a little quip and then bloop 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 credits roll. It felt
mhm.
very Rebelsy.
I've
But
been very
that's
happy with the
that's
live action portrayals,
that's yeah. Oh
more than I
yeah.
Yeah,
expected.
I'm. Hera was the one that took me the most time to like get used to, but I didn't take very long.
Yeah, I mean she's also not in it a ton, so
Right.
I mean
The only one I'm not sure about is the live action Bendu, played by Danny DeVito, floating in the sky.
I need some pictures of clone commandos without their guns held up. They're all covering their little collar zone. It looks like it's black based on this Gregor one and this one. I'm gonna have to decide if I want to make these guys just sort of plain white or give them some kind of livery, because I'm not gonna do Delta Squad just in case they do an official Delta Squad later. But I don't know if I want to do just stock standard white or if I should just come up with some kind of custom
A little
thing.
stripe of some color.
Yeah, maybe some kind of blue, because none of the Delta Squad guys are blue.
and
Let's see. I haven't actually been playing much Republic characters in Shatterpoint, but I need to pick up Windu still.
You mostly been doing separatists.
Yeah, and now since Cad Bane come out, I've been trying to do
Scum it up.
yeah. But I've been more interested in Republic than like the Inquisitor stuff.
man, I will say one big disadvantage to this. I love this 3D print of this is really cool, but it definitely sucks that I cannot have the bike and the driver be separate from each other like on my like on the actual like real uh
Mm-hmm.
sculpts, because that is really really nice.
Are
Whereas
you
like
noticing?
sorry,
Are
what
there
we
many differences? Are there many differences between your 3D printed one and the official sculpt? Like any details that are noticeably different
Um,
besides the guy being attached,
I
just like
mean,
sculpt wise?
some of these bits on the undercarriage are definitely different. Like there's this uh container kind of thing strapped on here that the Endor ones do not have. Um, there's it varies also depending on there's two different sculpts. Like the Endor ones have like a bedroll on the back, and I don't know if you can see like
Hmm.
these ones on the back, like the ones have kind of like a crate and the other one just has nothing, but you can't really
Hmm.
see it anyways because of their their little capes.
Interesting.
um the
It's
guns
kind of cool though. Like it makes sense that they would carry
yeah,
random supplies or equipment or whatever.
yeah, the gun's a little bit different as well. Like on the official models there's not this part that like swoops back and connects further back here. It just pops in right up front here. Um, but other than that, I mean, they're very similar to
Hmm.
the official sculpts.
Yeah, the video's catching up here, looking at the guns, and they're kind of weird looking to me. I mean, maybe I was just looking at footage from the bike chase on Endor, and I guess they don't have to. Maybe sometimes they have different guns equipped, in fiction. It'd be easy to explain, but they're a little goofy looking to me. Not that you really see them when you're playing with them. It's fine. Yeah, they're kind of curved a little. Kind of strange.
Yeah,
What if
you can see.
snowtrooper bikers had flamethrowers instead of lasers on their
But it
speeder
was
bikes?
more less of like a weapon and more of like a snow plow rather than plowing the snow. You just melt it
As
before you
Good
put
point.
it
fast as
into
they're moving, I'm pretty sure they would just be blasting themselves with the flames.
it. No, it's space physics. Or they drive really slow.
I got excited for a second. I thought somebody had typed something in chat, but then I saw it was just Joe.
Trying to decide if I want to paint the thermal detonator this guy's holding like a baseball. It's so small, it'll be pretty subtle. But
So, I started rewatching Eureka recently.
uh-huh.
Um, and like I said, I years ago I had watched like the first, I think the first two seasons or
There's like
first
5 seasons.
something like that. I watched like the first two or like the first season and a half or something like that. Um, and I really enjoyed it, but it's like I think there was wherever I was watching it, maybe it was when it was originally airing on Sci-Fi. If there was a break because of writer's strike or something, I don't remember. But I dropped off, so I started again here. And there's the episode I was watching tonight. You made me think of this talking about baseball. Is like, there's always episodes where it's like there's the Chekhov's gun or in the episode you always see them. There's always some sort of thing that gets introduced at the beginning of the episode, and you're like, oh, this is what they're going to use to defeat the problem at some point in
Mm-hmm.
the show.
Yeah.
You're like, and the episode opens up with the guy being like, oh, I've got this brand new computer thing and then it just so happens that that's the one kind of computer they need to stop the bad guys or whatever. um but in this episode, he at the beginning he wants to start a baseball team, and he just ends up like carrying around a baseball for most of the episode, and you don't think anything of it. But it turns out it was actually Chekhov's baseball when the super speed the bad guy had been taking a drug that gives him like super speed, decides to run at the guy, so he throws the baseball at him and he just runs face first into the baseball at like 500 miles an hour and knocks himself out. And it was just yeah, really really unexpected, which I enjoyed.
Yeah, we watched all of that. I remember a lot of the characters and very few of the plots. Some the Maytag guy, I think that's what he does these days is makes
Yeah,
Maytag commercials.
yeah, which makes it even funnier. There's an episode where they have like they're doing something with like these like this crash test dummy, and the sheriff, who's now the Maytag guy these days, asks why does he like looks at the face on it, and he's not like, why does this look like me? And the guy goes, it's just a generic one.
Oh, that was during he was doing both at the same time.
No, no,
Oh,
no. I just it's funny because I think like like the Maytag guy is just sort of supposed to be like a generic everyman
oh
repair
yeah.
guy kind of thing, and
Yeah, he's that yeah, that actor's definitely one of those guys, you know.
uh, he's just sort of like white. Not that I don't enjoy the guy. Like he's got really good comedic timing and stuff, and
Is Felicia Day on that one too?
Yeah, she's in a few seasons. She's not there at the start, but she's
I was gonna say
her and
I never got to the point in the show where she shows up or like Will Wheaton.
yeah, they show up after a couple seasons. I don't think there's any other note. I'm sure like all like the regular types of people who would show up on The Big Bang Theory probably show up, like Bill Nye or Neil deGrasse Tyson or something, but
Oh, yeah,
as like
probably.
cameos. But no, Felicia Day and Will Wheaton are like regular cast members
There's
because
a
they have like Oregon government sanctioned Wakanda is pretty much the thing where they have like a society that's far technically superior than the rest of the world, but they it's like a secret.
I remember my dad watching that show a lot. I never really did, but I know he watched it a lot. Back in the glory days of sci-fi. I used to watch sci-fi a lot, even though I didn't really watch their original shows.
yeah.
Like, I would watch bad movies on Saturdays a lot.
I would do both. Watch the original shows and watch bad movies.
What
But
about you, Joe?
and by original shows,
I
I mostly mean Stargate. To be honest.
I never had sci-fi or access to any cable until I was in
Wow.
college. Like have cable when I would like go to my grandma's, but that wasn't enough to be like, oh, here's
Wow.
the show I
And
need to watch.
I thought it was bad me not being able to have cable until I was in high school.
No, we had I guess technically four channels, but it was three or two depending on which way the like antenna was oriented. And so it was just when we went to grandma's we got the got to actually have Nickelodeon and stuff.
Oh yeah, I definitely understand that though. Like up until eighth grade, yeah, that's all we got was four channels on our farm. And then we moved. And after we moved, finally we're able to convince my dad to spring for a satellite dish.
Yeah, it was always like, oh well, we have PBS. What else do you need? And then I guess in college I probably had cable, but I was like, well, I've got video games. I don't need to watch TV.
Uh, well, the thing that finally convinced him, really, I should say, it wasn't. I shouldn't say we convinced him. It's that so we the house we moved into had an unfinished basement, so we finished up the basement. And then my dad decided he wanted to have people over to watch the Super Bowl to show off his new basement. But we whatever channel it was gonna be on, we couldn't just pick up with our like over the air antenna. So he finally capitulated and like the old owners had left behind their like dish network, dish and receiver and all that stuff anyways. So it was already like half ready to go.
And then
Yeah,
once you subscribe, you're not gonna drop it. You're just gonna keep doing it, right?
Yeah. So then we finally got the Sci-Fi Channel, and I discovered Mystery Science Theater running late one night, and that blew my mind.
That was like a classic Saturday morning thing for me. It was always like at the end of a LAN party, it was like everyone's too tired to do anything, but we will throw that on.
and the funny thing now is like basically when I went to college, that was when like all of a sudden my parents were like, "Oh, now we'll get like DirecTV and have all the channels."
Hmm.
And then just a couple years ago, there was some kind of like I don't know state funded infrastructure thing where they laid out like the infrastructure for internet. Now they have like the best internet ever. Where we never had internet growing up. I think there was like a couple months where I had some kind of little like thing you could plug in your computer with a USB that gave you like internet from the phone company, but
I'm gonna say you never even had the old like 56K dial up or anything like that.
nope.
Oof, that's rough,
Wow.
buddy.
How did you complain about Star Wars
Um,
without the internet?
well, I didn't, but also my mom was the counselor at my high school, so whenever she wasn't in her office or busy and I had free time, I could just sit on her computer and do stuff. We actually put LimeWire on her computer and downloaded a lot of music on her work computer.
Man, LimeWire didn't even exist until I don't until I was in college. I was still using Napster, and
Yeah, I couldn't even go to like you know, I I did go to the public library in Grand Forks some few times when I really needed to do something, which is, like, hey, drive 35 minutes to go
Oh,
get use a computer, you know, the olden days. Okay, I think I got the black done on commandos. I'm going to put on some contrast white, which is going to be worthless usually, because then I'm just going to go over it with some other colors.
I don't know these. Like I've got contrast white here on the white spots on the snowtrooper.
Yeah, your undercoat is probably a little brighter than mine. Wait, is there?
Now, do you waste your time with Zenithil?
Uh, on these ones I did, but usually I don't.
I think a slight zenithal helps a lot of the time.
I think it helps with the clone armor.
Yeah, especially if it's white
Oh
anyways,
God,
then it really helps.
I hate the way Zenithils look with the the apothecary white. I think it looks just awful. I never do it
Dang.
myself.
Yeah, I think that might be my problem. Why
Wow.
can't I? What is there? Okay, it looks like that's white. Trying to figure out what like the midriff and lower back on a commando is supposed to be.
Do you ever just go look at like go find the
Oh,
the
it's white.
CRL on the 501st?
Clone Commando CRL.
That stands for.
Costume Reference Library.
Oh, okay.
Republic Commandos.
That's always my first place. I go look at if I need to figure out Imperial or clone armor. Is I look up in the 501st CRL. There's also the I forget what the heck the rebel version of the 501st is.
It's called the Rebel Legion. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I think they have a similar CRL kind of thing, but to be honest, I've never used it before because like with most of the rebels, I feel more freedom to just sort of paint uh however I want with
Yeah,
them.
that's true.
Okay.
What rebel stuff have you painted, Leo, besides your AA5?
I've painted one squad of rebel troopers. I've painted up one ATRT. And
You hear that?
I've primed K2SO.
I feel like I remember your rebel troopers
Is
actually. Are
this
they blue?
Yeah, I was using like a uh like like this Thunderhawk blue and
Discord is saving you guys, I think.
What?
I was shaking my contrast paint right next to the microphone and like
I didn't hear it.
it's playing it back to me as well, and it's very funny sounding. But I think Discord filtered that out. Oh yeah, we have a soundboard now.
Gosh.
great. Just what we need.
What?
Just be ready if Leo spells his null oil.
Then I'll do a makes me want to get Discord Nitro because then I can use everybody's soundboards from all the servers.
Whoa. Fancy. If anyone were watching, they would. I don't know.
They'd probably go,
we need like Matt Leibowitz's Jar Jar Binks soundboard.
this is a dumb question. I pulled out a card. What would your droid name be?
My droid name. I think Leo would be C3 Leo.
No.
Be like it could be like K2 L. I don't know.
Mine would just be randomly assigned, I guess. Unless I was a droid in Star Wars Hunters, then I would have a pun name.
Be like you could be like KR7. That like in like elite speak letters kind of would make Kurt.
Hmm. JOL2 ski.
J0.
J0.
Yeah, I don't think this contrast paint's gonna. I'm just gonna end up going over this. Is the movie Desperado the first in a series? Isn't that the one with the series
It's
Once Upon a
this.
Time in Mexico?
Yeah, it's the second one.
Okay, because I saw it. I've never seen those, and I saw it on Amazon. So I was like,
But
oh, maybe I'll watch this.
but it's like it's the second in a series, but it's also like you don't ever actually need to watch the first one to understand the other two movies, really.
Is
Mhm.
the first one the least good of them?
To be honest, I've never actually watched it, so I don't know. Because like Desperado came out when I was a kid, so that's the one I saw, and didn't even know that. What was it? The first one is just called like El Mariachi, isn't it?
I don't know. It must be some kind of not noteworthy movie because I've only ever even heard of Desperado and Once Upon a Time in
Yeah.
Mexico.
Well, because the first one is like it's like super low budget, sort of like how like the first Mad Max is sort of the one that everyone kind of forgets about a little bit about, or like the first Evil Dead movie because they're like super low budget and in the grand scheme of things don't really matter all that much with the other like more famous and higher budget movies.
Well, I've never seen any of that series.
New card.
Of the you mean the mariachi series?
Yeah.
Wow.
I had it on my list before, on Netflix or whatever, and just kind of never got around to it.
And this is an interesting question. If you had to take down a crate dragon, who in the real world would you ask to help?
Wow.
Hmm.
Someone with a huge gun.
Yeah, who in the real world?
Obama. Drone strike it.
Oh, Yo, Barry. I need to borrow some drones.
Do me a solid here, Obama. I know you still have the codes. They never deactivated your
But
password
you got
or
to keep them.
whatever.
They're in his
Don't own 'em.
backyard. Yeah, he walks them on weekends.
What? They're his fucking pets.
Yeah.
Like when a army guy gets to keep his drug sniffing dog or whatever type of thing.
Yeah. Eventually they get too old and they have to, find a home. There's a heartwarming headline that he took them all home. He adopted all of them. Could just paint these clone commandos like all. Contrast black might look good, but I will go white.
I don't know. I feel like real answer. I don't know, like
There's nobody
Dave
I know.
Bautista or something.
There's nobody I know personally who I would
Right.
like think would A, be capable of accomplishing that, and B, I'd be willing to like ask that of. That's a
Put
pretty
them
big
in
favor.
danger. Yeah. I think like Batista or The Rock or someone could probably like single-handedly just melee a Crate Dragon
Just
and live.
drop elbow.
Yeah.
Seems reasonable.
Okay. I'm not gonna do the. I put contrast white on one of these guys, and it didn't matter. It looks dumb. So I'm gonna put this
Hmm.
spaceship.
You could always try 2 coats of contrast white. I think it looks a lot better after it dries. I always feel like.
Yeah, it's dried already.
Hmm.
It just looks
You sure?
gray. It's absolutely not enough to here. I'm gonna post a picture, and you're gonna be like, "Oh God, what the heck?"
I don't
Part
know.
of
Well,
it
I
is
don't know what a
also
clone commando looks like.
my prime job is shitty, a bit grainy, so contrast does not look good on that. But
yeah, that is always one disadvantage. Also, with like these 3D printed ones, is like contrast doesn't flow quite the same on them.
That's a good
Just
point.
just because there's a little bit of texture to them.
Texture.
So it
Yeah.
like holds onto the paint a little bit more than
Yeah, I feel like that would really highlight the print texture.
you know,
I'm
it usually
so
doesn't. The texture is like small and subtle enough that the paint doesn't really like get down into them cracks or anything like that, you know.
Hmm.
I'm just gonna go
I mean,
over
I
all
guess
the
maybe if
armor
you had a
in
really low resolution print it would,
light gray.
but no 3D prints, at least, you know, like resin prints we're talking here, not
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um I haven't had a problem like that ever.
Who do you think is the bravest character in Star Wars?
I don't know, probably like depends per movie.
Ezra or Kanan.
I was gonna say R2, someone who has like the least power and ends up in the most dangerous type of situations, but in some of the movies he's really I don't know, it really depends. I actually like him the most when he's acting kind of cowardly, but I feel like they haven't let him do that in a long time. He's like big hero mode all the time.
What about just any of the rebels who see action in Rogue One?
Yeah.
They all knew what they signed up for in that one.
Yeah, pretty brave.
I mean, I think everyone at the Battle of Yavin, they have like 2 squadrons or whatever, and they're like, let's go attack this giant space station. I bet this is gonna go well. We have like 5 minutes.
See,
Get on it.
yes,
scary.
but I think the situation between that and Scarif is a little different because it's like
Yeah.
on Yavin, I mean,
At least had, like,
the enemy
something
came to
in it.
them, so they sort of didn't have a choice. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, bravery, big part of it is that choice.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of interesting that Scarif is canonically their first victory. So at that point, they're like, "Gosh, we don't have a
It's their
chance, right?
first
We've never won anything."
major victory. Because technically, them defeating the Empire over Lothal happened first. It just wasn't as big of a blow to the Empire.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's
It wasn't like a fleet action. It wasn't like the Rebel Alliance. Because
right.
they were not really acting on behalf of the Rebel Alliance at the end of Rebels. I thought that was interesting on our rewatch because they're like, "This is coming from the Alliance leadership," and Hera's like, "Nah, we're just doing this for Ezra. It's just kind of a favor."
Yeah. Well, I mean,
We
they.
hate Lothal. I don't want to help them. Those guys suck.
Well, I think when they first got to Lothal, that was part of. I mean, they were on a mission for the actual
Right.
rebels, right? And then but then after
Yeah.
they were there, the rebels were like, "Nah, this is too much." But then
Yeah. It
the rest,
failed.
but they were still like, "Yeah, we're sticking this out."
I still had after watching it because we just finally finished our rewatch the other night. I always feel like when Ryder offers Governor Price the chance to come with them, it's always weird that she chooses to go down with the ship because she's a huge coward. Maybe she just picked that moment to finally like get some integrity or something.
Yeah, I guess I could really see.
Or she figured that it was like um you know, she was going to be put on trial and probably executed or something anyways, so might as well go out on her own terms instead of on theirs. I don't know.
We got a comment in the chat.
Whoa.
Oh, wait, do it. Hold on. We got a.
Boy, I sure am glad you
Friend
Ryan
of
get
the
says,
that.
show, Ryan W. Unless it's a different Ryan W. that we don't know. I'm gonna assume
well,
it's
Ryan
our
W
friend.
says Monday painting stream on a Tuesday, which I'm pretty sure we always do these on Tuesdays.
Yeah,
Well,
usually
mini painting movie Monday, I
is
assume is what it means,
different
right?
than the painting streams.
Right.
Yeah.
Ah, man.
If you were a true fan, you would know that.
We couldn't do a
Ryan, are
mini
you?
painting movie Monday stream because then we'd have to stream the movie and then we'd get arrested by Hollywood.
I will say I did stream myself painting one time during a mini painting movie Monday.
So they're a true fan and they're referencing
that one
episode.
old episode, yeah.
I wanted to ask Ryan, are you painting anything tonight? Let us know in the comments.
Hey Kurt, our Armada League has
Mm-hmm.
it's got 5 people in it. So, you know, if a sixth person wanted to
Wait, you
join
got a
up,
I was noticing that.
5-person Armada League in a place where you couldn't even get 4 people to show up for an X-Wing tournament?
yeah, one of the people in the league is a guy who showed up for the X-wing tournament. So
I was noticing it, honestly. Kind of thinking about it. The big thing I'm afraid of with any league is just not having any actual time to be able to schedule. Like, just for you, I mean, we probably have very different schedules, but for you, Leo, what have you found has been like a good night or time to play on?
honestly, I
Like, do you have time after work? I feel like I wouldn't.
yeah, I usually, you know, like I'll I'll just leave from work at 5, head right over to the store, play a game.
See, I usually work till after 6, so it
Oh,
kind of ends up being. I mean, I can change my schedule around, but it's kind of like a lot of disruption for me to do that.
Do you
That's
work
one of
with
my
a lot
problems.
of like West Coast guys, or
No,
you just don't want to
it's
get
just
up early?
right. Yeah,
Getting up
some
early
very
means you get your schedule's more open for tabletop events.
See,
yeah.
I
Just
gotta get out of
sleeping.
bed at like at 6 a.m. to get kids on the bus.
Thank goodness.
So by the time that's all done, then I'm and then I head into the office after that. So I'm usually at the office like by 7:30 at the latest.
Wow,
So yeah, so
that's early. I think I
then
would
I
die if I got up that early.
When I get up that early, it's to like prime miniatures because that's when it's like not quite 80 degrees yet.
Gosh.
did have I done it? Did I finally get all the gray? No, fuck.
Ryan says, no to painting. But I just finished my Legion League game. Have you been doing Legion League as well, Leo?
Yeah. I actually, if it's the Ryan W that I know, I got to burninate his Ewoks a couple weeks ago with my snow
Wow.
troopers. Yeah, that's why like I was saying, I just love snow troopers. Um, but yeah, so I've been actually, I think the no, I just had the second round of Legion League. Yeah, so
It's
um,
an escalation league, right?
yeah, which um, so this time it was still just like it was like just like a standard skirmish game of 500 points. So, but I did still bring an ATSD. Um, I felt kind of bad for my opponent in that game because I just honestly had one of the luckiest games of my life that night where uh, like like activation 1 or 2, he comes in and blows away almost an entire snowtrooper unit just off the bat, and I thought I was gonna be screwed. But then after that, like every single roll completely went my way, and yeah, I just sort of trounced all over the poor guy, unfortunately.
That's always
Yeah,
hard. It doesn't feel good.
my last talk to you should start like a therapy group with Chris because that's Chris's life. He always does too good and feels bad about it. Last game we played, my Chewbacca ATST got killed in round 1.
Oh
Wow.
jeez.
Just,
See now,
just
like
disgusting.
like my ATST that I brought, like in this game here, um, like every single time I rolled an attack, I rolled like 8+ hits. I was rolling
Jeez.
almost all hits and crits on my dice, and then he got it. He did get it to down to damage by like the second round, or like he got down to the damage threshold on the ATSD. But then after he hit that, I kept saving almost every single damage he would throw at it.
Travis Griffin, name I think I recognize from Twitter, says the snows on speeder bikes conversions.
They are 3D prints. I was planning on doing some conversions, but a local friend uh, bought himself a 3D printer and happened to have these models, so he printed some up for me.
Nice.
Are you doing that specifically to? Have you been running Blizzard Force or just super
Yes.
heavy lifts?
Yes, I've been. Well, I mean, even before Blizzard Force was a thing, my snow troopers are probably my Imperial unit that's seen the most time on the table, other than maybe just the plain snow stormtroopers. So when Blizzard Force came out, it was like a natural fit for me.
Nice.
I've been really having a lot of fun with the Bright Tree Battle Force.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, if I ever, whenever I finally finish up my um, uh, Blizzard Force here, I do, like I said, I do want to start painting some stuff up uh, for a Tempest Force then.
It's really neat that the bright tree kind of supports like such a hero centric list, like full of heroes like you've been doing, Joe.
Yeah,
I feel like there
and
isn't really any other list that works with. I mean, obviously you can just do it in normal armies,
Classic,
but it doesn't feels
classic
like it doesn't really
atomic
work.
mass, hero
Yeah,
centric.
I wonder if we would see.
well, it makes sense for Bright Tree because they're like, oh, this is going to be the Battle of Endor, but we got to have Wicket and Logray. But now, you don't want to exclude Han and Leia and 3PO. So it's like, okay, like I like having 5 commanders at once. Although now that I picked up a 4th box of Ewoks, which I assume will be my last, um, I have to cut 3PO from the list because I can run 11 activations, but then there's just not enough upgrades to make all of the Ewoks feel like they're doing enough. So it's got to be 10, and 3PO was the weakest link on my team, even though he's pretty fun and helpful. Another squad of Ewoks is probably better than a 3PO.
Yeah, was he fun to use with his like storytelling and stuff?
Yeah, it's fun to throw out some stuff. It's not like a game changer, but he's fun to have around and is a pretty cheap activation. It's a little, I feel like he should have the inspire keyword, but maybe inspire only
Yeah.
Ewok trooper.
Does he have like a command slot or anything?
It's got no upgrades,
Hmm.
which makes him also another easy choice to cut for another.
Yeah.
A three health 3PO versus a 7 health squad of Ewoks that can make attacks. It's kind of an easy choice.
So this little canister that these two bikes have on their side, what color do you think I should paint up that canister?
Uh,
Hmm.
is there a reference of a Hoth no speed or speeder bike
The ones
anywhere?
I've seen, I've not seen that canister on the side before, so I think it's just whoever designed this particular print just sort of pulled that out their ass.
It's
What
hard
if
for
it
me to
was
tell on
Joe
screen.
Johnston? He's sitting out there
It's
remaking all
it's
this.
very it's
Does it look like a piece of the bike, or is it like
no, it's
equipment that's hanging?
no, like you can see there's a strap that runs, it's wrapped around and then clips on
Hmm.
up here. Um so
It
it's
feels like
not part of the bike. It's like a thingy
just some of
that's
their
hanging
gear.
there. Yeah, some gear or some thing.
It feels like all their gear would be white, but you also kind of want it to stand out from the body of the bike. So my first thought is beige, kind of like their uh
Is
pants
it
or whatever.
does it look like a piece of metal that's strapped on, like a meal kit or something?
Yeah, it's sort of like it. I mean, the shape and stuff makes me. It's almost like 'cause there's like some what looks like metal bands around it. It looks like sort of like metal container or something like that.
Sort of like a big canteen or some type of.
Yeah, like those things that Saint Bernards always have strapped around their necks in the mountains in
Yeah,
like
it's
old
like
Bugs Bunny
A barrel
cartoons.
of beer.
it's a keg.
Wasn't it like I think
I think
wasn't
it's
it
like
actually
bourbon or
like
whiskey or
brandy or
something.
something like
Yeah,
that? Yeah.
brandy.
Yeah, see, I think I would paint it, um, whiter beige or something, and have some nice little metal nicks on it. Like they
Yeah.
painted
I
the
was
metal
gonna
thing.
say just uh, metallic because
See, I think like army stuff like that, they always like paint over the metal.
true.
If you think like a World War II type of gear.
Would it look weird if you painted it to look like it was made out of like plastoid? I don't know how you could differentiate that from the
Yeah.
speeder itself.
I don't know. Like
Glass
I
coat.
was honestly almost thinking of like red or yellow to get a little bit of
Oh wow.
color, but I was like, will that pop out like too much?
Maybe, but it could be kind of
Right,
a neat
Mayhem.
little touch of color too.
Welcome to the party, Midnight Mayhem.
Woo!
They say now that Joe bought his last box of Ewoks, will they release an Endor Forces pack? Yeah, they will, and it'll have custom sculpts and stuff too.
I honestly thought that that's maybe what I was sort of hoping like we would hear something like that in the Battle Force
Mini extravaganza.
yeah stream like that they were gonna do maybe some more actual boxes.
Maybe
It
they
was really
got
all
scared
focused on the
off by how
PDFs.
badly they messed up the initial Battle Force boxes. But like, yeah, like Bright Tree and uh, stuff feels more suited to a box, other or like
Yeah,
the new Wookiee ones, like some of the more special ones.
yeah, especially like since they're a newer thing, like the Bright Tree and stuff, since they're a newer thing and not just old units, it seems
But
like
People would be more likely to want to buy a box of
yeah,
them.
uh-huh.
it also might be though a worse like entry point box than the other ones because the other ones are mostly like standard units where it's like the Ewoks you can't really bring them outside of their battle force as effectively. Like you can, but it's not.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Still, I don't know.
I just want you can find a custom 3PO, Endor 3PO, and then I'll get whenever the re-release of Leia comes out, I'll get that and make sure it has the proper Endor colors, and then whatever they do with Han, like since I'm wondering if I got a feeling when they redo Han in hard plastic, he's not going to be wearing the duster, even though the duster is kind of what places him as Endor Han, which would be good for my Bright Tree, but still, he takes it off pretty quick into that battle, anyways. So I think it might be fun to just rebuy the re-release stuff just enough to get my Bright Tree force fully coherent, so it doesn't look weird where all of my non-Ewok people have different bases.
Yeah, because I suppose they're all crate based right now, aren't they?
Yeah.
Um, yeah. I don't know how much of the like re-releases I'm gonna end up buying just because
At a point, it's hard to justify.
Yeah. I
Right.
mean, it's
That's
very
why I've
cool.
found
Some
a
of
way
them
to
looked really good though.
justify it for like, oh, this specific battle force, then I can do it for that.
Yeah. Like the thing is I've already got a whole ton of snowtroopers, but part of me is all like, oh my god, I can't wait till they re-release these snowtroopers so I can buy some more.
It's
You
I mean, I
can
wasn't excited about like the stormtroopers. It's like slightly different poses, but the rebel troopers with like new alien head options and stuff. I was like, sign me up. I've had to get 3D printed ones to do that. I'd rather get some real official ones too. It'd be cool.
Yeah,
yeah,
I
just
mean I'm
get
looking forward to just like on the snowtroopers and the stormtroopers and stuff, just like they were sort of like they said on the stream, just all like the angles and hard edges on the on that armor just being really way crisper than some of the soft plastic uh
Hmm.
prints were or casts. No.
get a bunch of snowtroopers, get a bunch of just get all the Echo Base stuff too, and make a Hoth
Rule diorama.
table. Yeah, make a table of get some of that like get some kind of foam board and like layer it on your table so you can chisel away at it to make trenches and have the like a Echo Base hanger on one end of the table.
Leo does have a Hoth themed board already. Not with that a bunch of chiseled ice, but
Oh
it has a
yeah, I was
snow
thinking
mat.
foam, but you could just wait until January and then make a table with real
Just
ice and snow to play on.
just bring all my minis out my back door and play on my deck.
Evan says
Yeah,
sprues or nothing. Evan is here.
there should be sprue troopers that come on a sprue.
Sprue
You leave
troopers.
them on the sprue,
That's how they. One. You know what? We don't know.
like
Do we
B1s.
know how Stormtrooper armor is manufactured in universe? It could come on a sprue. Like you get your kit when you join the Empire, and they give you just a sprue of your, the plastic mold of your armor that you got to clip
And
out.
yeah, hobby knife. You have to sit there and cut off your own mold lines. They're like,
A
this is
hobby
not
vibro
clean
knife.
enough.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Everyone
honestly,
say hi to Evan.
like the guys. Hey Evan, like the guys in the 501st.
Sproopers. Yeah, they're called sproopers.
Like the guys in the 501st when they get their armor, they've got to clip out from old lines and clean all that stuff up too.
And most of them
Suppose so.
use like vacuum forming or whatever.
Fancy.
Yeah, but you still got to trim it up after it's been vacuum formed.
I'd rather get into droid building than armor making.
Yeah, but like honestly, like armor making seems like a much lower entry point than droid building.
Yeah, because you don't need to know robotics. You just need to know crafting at a different scale.
Well, unless you're gonna do like I know I saw one guy who was like making a gonk droid out of like he took like two of like those gray Rubbermaid bins and
Mhm.
flipped
That's
one over on top of the other and just like screwed them together. And
that has been like a plan of mine's for literally over a decade, and I've just like never felt like it. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make a gonk bread with the plastic tubs, and I'm like,
not
make it in like
today.
put like a power bank in it, cut it out so there's outlets on it.
Charge your phone with it. Like if you could install a wireless charger in the top of the gonk and just set your phone on top, and then also it would automatically make a gonk
Jeez.
noise when it was full.
That's terrible. I'm gonna have to clean that up.
Joe, do you have another Star Wars question card? I want to hear.
Here we go.
Evan and other people in the chat can respond with their
Yep.
answers.
Oh, this is a long one. I'm gonna pick a different one. I don't want to trigger anybody by mentioning Ben Solo. If you were a kid, would you rather go to summer camp on Kashyyyk with the Wookiees or on
Whoa.
Endor with the Ewoks?
Oh my gosh.
And then why? You must explain your answer.
Endor with the Ewoks. Cause Sheik, yeah, you know how fucking tall, like how high up in the trees some of their cities are? No, thank you. Fuck that. I ain't getting up that high.
Also, it's probably easier to live life in a world made for people half your height than a world made for people, taller than you. Like imagine like trying to use a Wookiee urinal. Do you think Wookiees have urinals or do they all just pee off the edges? It's just a hole in the building that, goes to the the
I
forest
think
floor.
they just pee. You see their
They just watered the
getting
tree.
kinda
You know, they
you just see a wet spot on their fur, and you're like, oh, they let it air
just
dry.
dribbles down their legs.
Okay, so but the question said summer camp as
Summer
a
camp
kid,
as a
right?
kid, yeah.
So
I feel
Ewoks
like
would be your own size, which would be a plus.
right, yeah. And kids love Ewoks.
Yeah.
And Ewoks, I think, are probably a little, at least from what we've seen in the Ewok films, probably a better, like, kid socializing than Wookiees. I don't know. Wookiees probably gonna be like, hey, you got to climb that tree. You got 1 minute. Otherwise, we're gonna throw you in the dark part of the forest for an hour and come back and see what happened to you. And the Ewok will probably be like, hey, we're gonna go collect berries and then hug.
But here's some pros to the Wookiee side. Wookiees can give you like piggyback rides. Wookiees also still have technology. That's a big pro. You could
Oh
still
yeah,
get
Wookiees have the
online.
internet.
Yeah,
They
and
have healthcare that the Ewoks probably don't have.
let's look back at Legends and remember that Jason Solo was honestly, as a kid, raised more by Chewbacca than he was by his own parents, and look how he turned out.
Hmm.
Do you turn to the dark side or what?
Yeah, yeah. I guess you didn't read a lot of those old Legends books, huh, Kurt?
I read
I
the
just
ones
can't
where
keep
he died. I read
I
that
can't keep
final
these Legends
series.
characters straight.
Yeah,
It's like
Jason
Jason Solo, Ben Skywalker,
Jason Solo
Chewbacca.
becomes Darth Cadus
And then
eventually.
his twin sister's like, I guess I gotta go kill my bro. And then she's all
Who can
like,
teach me?
yeah. And then she's like, I guess I'll ask Boba Fett. Who else is around to teach me how to kill my brother? And then Boba Fett's like, fuck you, but also, yeah, I'll teach you how to kill that loser. And then they like bro down. And then someone unleashes a bio disease on Mandalore that's basically a genetic. It's basically a disease that only Boba Fett and
Biophage.
his relatives can get. So Boba Fett, if he goes back to Mandalore, he'll die, but it doesn't affect anybody else. And
I really
then
did like the Young Jedi books when I was a kid, but I never read the characters past those ones. And I just have no brain space left for Legends
wait,
at this point. I don't want to remember it.
did Boba Fett send Han Solo a set of Mandalorian armor for his wedding or something?
God.
Am I crazy?
A Beskar smuggler's vest.
I don't remember that happening in like.
Maybe I'm making that up.
Are you talking like in? Are you talking in Legends or in canon?
In Legends, we're talking about Legends. So I'm trying to remember.
I don't remember that happening, but I mean, maybe it happened in like some comic or some shit about it.
Because those I don't remember what that series was called. The one where I remember Karen Travis killed off Mara Jade.
You're talking the those ones were the Legacy of the Force books.
Yeah, I read those, and I didn't read any other post Return of the Jedi stuff really, unless it had to do with Boba Fett.
Yeah, yeah, those Legacy of the Force books were really weird because it was 9 of them, and they rotated through 3 authors. So 2/3 of the books were readable, and 1/3 of the books were written by Troy Denning. Which is a formula they then chose to follow in the next like clump of books, which was the Fate of the Jedi. And once again, they rotated authors, and one of the authors in the rotation was Troy Denning. And every time I hit one of his books, I would read it and hate it so much that I would stop reading for about 6 months. Like I just it would break me so bad that I just couldn't read anymore. Any books, not just Star Wars.
I wish I was illiterate. You ever send him a letter and be like, "You make me wish I didn't know how to read"?
No. Although Evan did meet him at a con and have him personalize sign a book to me, which is personalized as like to
Wow.
my biggest fan, Leo. Some shit like that.
Wow.
It's
Back
I
on
think
the
it's one of like his D&D books he wrote. Not a Star Wars one.
I
on the
just remember
Wookiees
being
versus
like, "Oh, in all these Karen Travis, the 3 Karen Travis books in that thing, all were mostly about Boba Fett and Mandalore," and I was like, "Okay, this is just a continuation of the Republic Commando books." Because there was like a Mandalorian who was the son of a Jedi and a Republic Commando who was like,
of
"Hey,
course.
Boba Fett, cousin guy."
Yeah, like the ones, especially that like that very first one, or was it the second one? I forget. That she wrote in that series, because it like super focused on Boba and like Mandalorian stuff and everything. Like you said, it was more of a continuation of her old books than really being part of that series. It felt very disconnected from the others.
Yeah, because if you read the Republic Commando books, you're like, okay, she's super like. Those books are all just kind of shitting on the Jedi, which is fine in the context, I think, because the context is the characters being like, why are the Jedi cool with clone slave soldiers? I wonder if those books are still good. I haven't read them in a long time.
Yeah, I don't know. Didn't she kind of say some shitty stuff after like her books got decanonized?
I think so. I think she was not cool about a lot of stuff. I don't know if people dislike her just because of that, or if in real life she's some kind of like right winger or something, which wouldn't surprise me because I think she's got some kind of military background in the UK or something. But I don't know. She wrote all of the Gears of War books or at least the first wave of them, and those were all really good too. So I at least like all of her books, but maybe she sucks.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like her books that like her chunk of Legacy of the Force were good. I mean, and I don't know. The thing that sucks is like the Troy Denning got given like all the major plot points in the Legacy of the Force, and then just handled them so poorly. Like he wrote the book where Jason slash Darth Caedus attacks Kashyyyk and lights the whole fucking planet on fire, essentially. Um, Turns the place into one giant ass forest fire. Um, but it's like it's just really boring to read.
Yeah.
And then the same thing happens. He writes the final book in the series where Jaina, you know, Jason's sister, finally faces him, and has to kill her own brother. But it's like I feel nothing because again, it's a super boring read. Like it should be like the most pivotal, cool fights of like almost the entire Legends saga, but it's just ends up sort of being a bit of a wet fart.
If you want to catch up on the chat, Evan has a lot of comments. Way back on the Wookiees versus Ewoks topic, he said Shadowlands is a much higher chance of being eaten, which would normally be true, but I gotta say, I think the Wookiees would protect you, and I
If you're at
don't
a
think the
summer camp.
Ewoks. Yeah, I don't think the Ewoks would care if you got eaten. They'd be like, "Well, guess that guy."
Yeah, but
Doesn't
I
know
mean,
what's doing.
really, are the Wookiees going to be sending you down into the Shadowlands? No. You're going to be up in
Yes.
the trees in their cities.
I think like an accident would happen where you get trapped down there somehow. That would be like an exciting episode of your adventures.
Of Wookiee Summer Camp,
Yeah,
the series,
but I
and
think
coming
they
to
would.
Disney Plus.
Ryan asks,
Honestly,
is
yes.
Star Wars Visions canon? It is not. It's just sort of a fun playground for people to do whatever. It's super not canon. Padme was elected Queen of Naboo at only 14 years old. Would teenage you have been a good ruler?
No.
Nope. Nope.
God, no.
I mean,
Teenage
been
depends
like-
what you define as good.
Teenage me listened to Rush Limbaugh and Glenn Beck and thought Ronald Reagan was the greatest president since that our country's ever had, except maybe Abraham Lincoln. So
Yeah,
fuck teenage me being in
I wasn't
charge
too
of the
far off
government.
either. I listened to Michael Savage, I think, who was like worse than those guys. I think he was like a proto Alex Jones or something. So yeah. If it was like 17, 18-year-old me, maybe, because that was when I moved to Germany and like got to like be away from everything and learn to use my brain. So maybe I'd be okay. But
Yeah,
any younger than that, stay away from that guy.
teenage me would have been like, I think we should probably make like The Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged be mandatory reading in our schools.
I mean, I wouldn't be a good or effective leader, but at least I wouldn't, start the Clone Wars, and I wouldn't be Palpatine level malicious. You know what I mean? So like on that scale, I feel like I could be, not bad. I guess morally not bad, maybe not effective, but
Oh man, that's
I like
the
to
other
think
thing.
I wouldn't go to war.
I probably would be corrupt as fuck too. I mean, anybody be like, "Yo, I'll give you like $20 to do this thing," and I'd be like, "Deal."
I don't think I would have been, but I also wouldn't have had the right understanding of what was the right thing to do. I'd be like, oh, uh, taxes bad, unions are bad. I don't know why. That's just something I know. I never asked why, and I'm not going to start now. Also, about the Padme thing, I think it's very funny how their
I
election system works because she's Padme Amidala wasn't elected. Amidala was elected. The name Padme was nowhere on the ballots, nowhere in the campaigning.
Makes no sense.
Amidala was a name that she picked when running. Her name is Padme Nabiri. When she decided I'm gonna try and be queen, she just like picked a pseudonym and was running under that and that only. Because if you remember, the handmaiden was called Padme. And nobody goes, wait a minute, that's the same name as the queen. That's because people don't know the queen's name. She has one name. And only after she's done being queen do people like she's go, surprise, here's my like. So when you're running, you're like this enigma.
Doesn't really make
Nobody
sense.
can look into your past. Like nobody can go, let's look at her family life because you don't know who her family is. And I think
I honestly kind of forgot that little bit, but yeah, I remember like when the toys came out like before the movie and stuff. Like the Padme toy was called Padme Nibiri, and um, I honestly, it's like one of those things where ever since then she's been always called Padme Amidala. That like until you mentioned it now, it's sort of like uh escaped my
yeah,
brain.
and I feel like that bit of lore only exists to explain why they called the handmaid Padme, and nobody
Right.
thought it was weird. It's not. I don't think that was something that like George thought of. He was just like, well, that's Padme, that's Amidala. Nobody.
They're like George.
Also on the
It's
Pepsi
supposed to be.
cans. Oh man, I used to have a set, like a full set of the Pepsi, Diet Pepsi, and Mountain Dew cans in my room in high
Oh,
school.
You were very cool.
I was very cool.
I remember having like Qui-Gon or Yoda or something Mountain Dew can for a while. I definitely didn't have like a full collection. It's some dedication.
Yeah. Well, you know, if you remember, I also had my senior pictures taken with a Mountain Dew Obi-Wan Kenobi like cardboard standee.
yeah, that's pinned
Nice.
in our Discord. If you're not on Discord,
Is it?
join.
I've never
Yeah,
seen
it should
that.
be pinned in the Star Wars channel.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some good shit.
I had my senior pictures.
Also,
One of them.
oh, sorry, continue, Joe.
I was gonna say one of my senior pictures. I'm just have an Xbox 360 controller.
I think that is cool, honestly. Like I think it's cool to just be an embarrassing teenager
Yeah.
and not
I
be respectable or
I
whatever.
also had one of my, because you know you always take like you get like 5 or 6 different poses and a couple different outfits and stuff like that usually when you do like a. So I had the one with the Obi-Wan Kenobi cardboard. Um, I also had one that's not on our Discord, but it's just me like you know, like a lot of times there'll be like people like laying with like they'll have their band instrument or whatever. Well, instead of that, I just had like all of my Vegeta action figures lined up with me from
That's
Dragon Ball
awesome.
Z.
I think that's
I know I
legitimately
had
awesome.
what's I think sadder is I did have a guitar in mine, which I was like learning to play, but that didn't last very long. I think I only kept it up for like a year. The year that happened to be the year I was getting my pictures taken, and my gamer tag was on the guitar because
Oh.
for I don't remember what class it was, some kind of computer class. We had to make like decal stuff. It was some class where you were doing like AutoCAD stuff, but also like stuff where you would like we had like some kind of decal maker, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna make my gamer tag and put it on my guitar because that'll be real cool.
It is cool. That's awesome. You should have kept up with guitar though. I bet
should
it
have
would all
kept up
come
with
right back to you.
trumpet. Trumpet would come back to me 100%. Guitar would not.
I
See,
used to play
for me,
trumpet
I think the
too.
opposite.
The problem with I can still do all of the notes on the trumpet. You give me the valves, my fingers just I do that when I'm bored, even though I
But
haven't
your
played a
lips, do
trumpet
your
in
lips work?
years.
Do you have the embouchure? Probably not.
It would take time to like work those muscles back. So I did a little bit in college, and it like my lips like got swollen after like the first time playing in years. So I stopped playing when I studied in Germany because I brought the trumpet, and then like the band teacher there was like, I don't know, I don't remember what, but he just like didn't want me in his class. So I was like, okay, I guess I won't play
So
this. And it's
so
hard to
in my
it's not an
mind,
instrument you can play at home very easily without annoying
I'm
anybody.
picturing the German conductor guy from the movie The Money Pit, who's played by the same actor who played uh, not Hans, but in Die Hard, the other the big huge German guy who like Bruce Willis kills his brother at the very beginning of the movie, and so he like really wants to kill Bruce Willis the whole time.
I don't remember that.
And he ends up Bruce Willis ends up killing him by hanging him on a chain. Do you?
Apparently, it's been too long since I've seen Die Hard because I don't remember that.
It's just about time for Die Hard season.
Here's the thing about instruments, Joe. You said you remember how to play all the notes on a trumpet. You can also play all the notes on a guitar because they're just all there. You don't have to know anything.
Yeah, but guitar's a lot of muscle memory and like
No.
understanding, being able to
You can
look at the
see it.
note.
That's what's great
Yeah, but
about a
it's-
guitar. You can see it, and the trumpet's like weird. The fingerings don't mean shit.
Well, I know what they mean.
No,
though.
yeah, no. Fingerings on a guitar are nonsense compared to trumpet. Trumpet makes
And
sense.
trumpet uses actual sheet music. Guitar uses like its own,
It just says the
proprietary,
number.
like,
It just tells you what thing to play. It just says it.
yeah, like
You don't have
the
to know the
babies.
notes. See, for me, it's the opposite. I think all the time I spent on trumpet in school was a waste because I felt like I
I
was
mean,
good at like reading music, but I wasn't good at the instrument. And I wish I had learned guitar earlier.
I mean, I agree with you. All the time I spent playing trumpet was a total fucking waste. But
I enjoyed it probably because I was the only person in my tiny ass school who was like quite good at it. Probably not good at it compared to people who are actually good at it, even as high schoolers. But I thought it was fun. And whenever I hear like a good trumpet piece and a thing, I'm like, I miss playing the trumpet. But there's like, you know, you need to kind of live in the middle of nowhere or have like a soundproof room to like, or have some kind of space you can go to play it.
Well, they
It's
have
not
electric mutes that
Uh,
just go into headphones. That's what I did in college.
see, I
But
think part of my problem is like we very rarely played music that I wanted to play. So I never really
that makes a big
enjoyed.
difference.
But
Mhm.
like the one time for a concert we did this John Williams medley. So it was like, it was like a
Yeah.
mashup of like some Star Wars music, some Indiana Jones, some Jaws, so
Jaws,
like
yeah.
that stuff, it's like, yeah, I learned the hell out of that, and I played that. And like one time we did like a bunch of songs from Aladdin, and you know what, the that that movie had some really good songs, and they were fun to play and stuff.
Ryan asks if I think compel on C3PO is necessary for Bright Tree. And maybe the 3 games I played with it, I never used it once. It might be because like with Leia and Logray, and I think Chewbacca also has Inspire. There's enough Inspire going around that my guys weren't getting bogged down with suppression like you might think they would be, because the thing with them is they don't pull off a suppression at the end phase like normal, so it's harder to manage their suppression.
That's a
But
bright tree rule.
yeah, it's specific to Bright
I
Tree
forgot
Battle
that.
Force. It's also
That
specific
sucks.
to Tempest Force. They have the same thing.
Wow.
It's just something in the air at Endor.
Yeah. But there's so much Inspire, it never really came up. I never really had any panicked Ewoks. They're either like, or at least in my games, they were either fine or dead. So it's like,
I'll clear suppression when I'm dead.
Here's kind of an interesting thing. I don't know if it's gonna show up real well on the camera, but I didn't notice this when I was like cleaning them up. But now that I'm painting, I noticed there's a little printing error on this one where you see this one, the pipes go all the way.
the pipes, the pipes.
And here the pipes are just, the part of them is missing. Oh, I gotta
Hmm.
actually get them on camera here so you can see what I'm talking about. Yeah. Full pipes, not full pipes.
What? You're out of frame.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Oh,
We have to wait
I
for
fix it
catch up.
once you catch
Okay.
up.
I see.
But yeah, it does.
Um, I can't really tell, anyways. Like, I see pipes on both of them.
Yeah, it's
Hmm.
when
Oh,
like
there's like a second loop of pipes. I
yeah,
see.
it's a little hard to tell when everything's all white right now.
Yeah. Okay. He's just got less pipe. What is your favorite Grogu moment?
I don't know, probably like eating the frog eggs or throwing up the macaron, something like that.
Does Carl Weathers saying "do the magic hand thing" count as a Grogu moment?
Yeah, I guess. Grogu was there in that moment.
Grogu getting punched by a scout trooper. It's pretty not out of any hate for him, but it's just I love when they take a break for just a stupid like comedic like 5 minutes or whatever, right?
Just in general, like that whole exchange with those two troopers was pretty good.
Yes.
Did you ever watch the Arlnauts um uh existential troopers?
Nope.
It was just recut of that scene with them voicing over it and them like slowly having a philosophical discussion and realizing that they're like fictional. It's hard to describe, but it was very good and funny. And part of it is like how they
Maybe I
can't
saw it. I
eat
remember you
anything.
sharing. Yeah.
I don't tend to find Oral Knots all that funny, to be honest. So no, I did not watch those.
Joseph, not me, asks Butler Ewok or Butler Wookie? I'd say I'd pick a Butler Wookie because I feel like they'd be able to
Hmm.
help me with more things. Like, they'd be able
Reaching
to dust
things off a
on
tall
top of the,
shelf.
yeah, and like dust the ceiling fan more easily. They wouldn't even need a duster. They just, rub their arm on it.
I mean, Ewoks are good at climbing. They can get up there.
And Wookiees, they could carry more. They could. I don't know. I think in general, a Wookiee butler's going to be more useful.
But would you feel weird about ordering a Wookiee around who's like smarter than you,
But I
stronger than
saved his
you?
life and he owes me.
Yeah.
Do you want a character card? There's three basic categories. Give me category one is about like characters. Um, I'll tell you what categories are. There's characters. There is
Spaceships.
creatures, technology, the force, and kind of miscellaneous. Pick one of those.
I say technology or the Force. Does sound more interesting.
Technology.
All right. Technology. If the Kaminoans or the Kaminoans offered to use you as the template for a new batch of top of the line clones, would you agree to it?
I mean, if they want to pay me the money, sure, but I'd be like, top of the line. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, okay,
I
I'll
mean,
take the
they're
money.
they're they're paying, right?
Do I get to like, yeah, especially
Have
if
a
I can be
son.
like Django and be like, you know what, can I have a son? One, can I have,
I wouldn't want a
can I,
son one. I would just want like, could I have like 10 copies of myself?
well, they
Yeah.
got to grow up.
Yeah. I mean, but they could be accelerated.
Okay.
I mean, it
It
just
What
would
like
if you could
suck.
be like,
I want us to be able to like rotate going to work and shit like that.
collectivize
be
my
weird.
singular existence.
It would be weird to have a bunch of people that look like you, especially if it's a clone army and now everyone hates your guts and associates you with this weird occupying imperial force. It'd be like, no,
Yeah.
that's not me. I'm just the guy they cloned. I had nothing to do with the army. Like, stop harassing me at Applebee's.
They haven't. I guess they haven't specified what these top of the line clones are for. But
I mean, what else have
I'd want a
Kaminoans
couple.
ever done with their clones?
See, we don't know.
Or they're slaves. I would feel bad about a bunch of me's being slaves, like working in a factory or something.
Yeah, but I got money, so it's okay.
Yeah, we had a whole discussion about because they're apparently famous. Go find our. I think the title of the video is called "Awkward Cloner" on YouTube. We theorized that
It's like a battle
because
chat or what?
yeah, Dex knows of the Kaminoans by reputation. Okay,
Yeah.
they live on this planet that doesn't even exist in the Jedi archives that nobody seems to know about, and yet they have a reputation as like, a corporation that is well regarded, which is strange. But I think we speculate that Dex knows of them because he's actually a plant for them because the Kaminoans' main source of income is Dex's Diners, which is a franchise that exists all over, and every single one has a Dex in it. And part of their like ploy to fund their cloning business is to have him every now and then, point people their way. The Dex is not a unique individual. He's just a clone who's part of this restaurant experience.
Also, all the dishes that they serve at the diner are made from cloned meat because it's cheaper.
Yeah. Yeah, I expect that they probably do like, they probably have never done like a galactic scale army like that before, but they
Just a lot of
probably made
slave
like,
labor.
yeah, and like mercenary type stuff like, oh, well, I need security and I don't want to hire people. I'd rather just have obedient clones.
It is funny
I
how
imagine that
people
a lot
lost
of
the location.
a lot of their business beforehand was probably like the island / parts the Clonus horror.
Oh
kind
yeah,
of-
like, hey, you know what? Just make a copy of me so I can take his organs when I need them. There might
Them,
also just be people with like, well, current like regulations and ethics for psychological experiments prevent us from doing these things on people. But what if we just make some clones? Then we can raise them from birth and simulate them, like, all these experiments that you're curious about, but you can't because ethics. You just do it with clones. They're really big in university settings. You just,
mhm.
you all right, students, we just got in a new batch of clones. They were simulated to have different life experiences, so we're going to put them in our experiment and we'll track them over the course of the semester, and then we can see how if they kill themselves or whatever by the end of the study.
Them losing the planet is kind of funny. Like you said, like people would have heard of it if they were such good cloners. I could see it from a random citizen, but like not from. I guess you expect the Jedi to be uh, like well read or something. Maybe they're not that worldly, but it would be like if in real life, if like a U.S. map didn't have like Taiwan or something, like the island was completely gone. I'm guessing there's a lot of people in the U.S. who have not heard of Taiwan and don't know where it is. But like, what if like, a member of the government, like someone in the House of Representatives or some such thing, was like, Taiwan, what's that?
Well, you've made it
It'd be a
sound more
little weird.
realistic.
I mean, that's like I mean, that sounds. I mean, that does happen. Like what was it? Was it the 2016 election or whatever with Ron Johnson?
Yeah, I remember that.
When they asked him, what
Um,
was it like? They asked him like what his opinion on what was happening in, was it Aleppo or something at the time? And he's just like, what's an Aleppo?
you know what? And I thought that was good because, well, it wasn't good, but it was like, you know what? It's refreshing to see someone in power or like of that, a politician, be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like maybe I should, but it's nice to see someone admit that they don't know somebody or know something. Because
Nah,
if I
Now
was
imagine he doesn't know what Aleppo is, and he's like, "Well, let's go look it up." He goes, "Let's go to Google Maps."
and Jocasta knew is
Al-
like, got nothing.
Aleppo is not on Google Maps. It does not exist.
And then they have to go to like a kindergarten, and the kid's like, someone erased it from Google Maps memory.
Can we find a blank spot on Google Maps that's like a perfect circle that someone
We'll be like,
hit
oh,
the
here's
eraser
the
button?
yeah, there's the you can tell by like the weather patterns there should be an island here or whatever.
So then he flies to Taiwan. He's like, let's see this island. He gets to Taiwan. The computer chip manufacturers are like, yeah, we were hired by a guy named Darth Tyrannus to make computer chips. You're like, interesting. And they're like, yeah, these computer chips are for the US government for their tanks or whatever. And you're like, okay, we'll just take those. Except that they're living people and they're slaves.
you know,
Anyways, it's not really a good
I
analogy.
I really really hated that episode of the Clone Wars where they finally like they find
The biochips?
Sifo-Dyas's
Oh,
like
Cypher yeah.
lightsaber, and then they go back to that planet to try and get his body or whatever because and um and then like Dooku shows up and he's all like, haha, I was Darth Tyrannus, and I you know, and they already knew that Tyrannus had ordered the clones, and then like the episode just sort of ends with them being all like, our the bad guys got our army for us. That seems weird. Oh well. You know.
Yeah, they're basically like, that's not good, but until we get more information, I guess we should just, business as usual. Okay,
It's kind of
question
weird.
from Joseph, not
Oh,
me.
okay.
I will specify. Uh, only my mother calls me Joseph. Does the cloning process also copy the imperfections of said individual, or does it gloss over and fixes it? Depends on what you mean by imperfections. Like a mole? I guess it would copy whatever is genetic.
Obviously,
But
they
also,
like to play around with the genetic code. Like that's how we got
right.
Bad
That's
Batch.
what makes difference. That's why Boba Fett is different than the clones. Like he's pure Django. The clones have been like tweaked in a lot of different ways to be different. So I would say
Yeah,
they would,
because don't they like? I mean, and like that's what sort of like. I don't
He's
think
got
that
more free will.
this is in canon, but in Legends, like, wasn't that sort of like the ARC troopers sort of had, you know, like more amped up uh strategic thinking and some stuff like that that was sort of like bred into them that the other ones didn't. Whereas like now in canon, it's all just training rather than actual
yeah,
genetic cloning stuff.
yes. Yeah. So yeah, they cut that stuff out. They do a lot of editing. They open it up in Adobe Cloner and mix the stuff
Clono
up how
shop.
they like it. Yeah, Clono Shop.
They got the clone tool. Like dragging and dropping uh like TCGA whatever.
Slid a little frog DNA in there. Bingo. Django DNA.
Maybe they put in some Django Jumper DNA. For whatever reason, there's a species called Django Jumper. Don't know why they called it that. Very strange name for a species.
Well, I mean, maybe Django is named after them. Like his parents are like, that's our favorite animal or species, whatever. I
It's
guess
not
they're
an
people.
animal, it's a person.
I don't know.
Well, his parents were very ignorant, so those were their words. I mean, like, there's humans named Cat.
I had a
There's humans named
friend
Leo the lion.
I had a friend whose little brother was named Kenyon. He was white.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
Some people have weird names. I see a lot of student names
Oh, have you
in our
ever?
work databases, and some of them are very strange. I'm like, this kid probably has a weird life. Except most of the friends at school also have weird names, so I guess maybe it's just normal now.
Um, there's a subreddit called Tragedy, but it's spelled
Like,
Tragedy is spelled EIGH.
yeah, I've
And
seen that subreddit before.
there's some pretty good ones on there.
My son last year in his first grade class, there was a kid in his class named Razor.
That's kind of cool.
Is his middle name Ramon?
I don't know. Yeah, I was gonna say it's like he's either gonna grow up to be like a pro wrestler or a supervillain, one of the two.
I think one of the weirdest things about the clone army to me, this seems like a small detail, but it's weird that they not only have all these people that they bred in test tubes or whatever, but they have like all the armor and gunships and star destroyers and guns and all these things ready to go too. It's like someone's doing those too. I don't think it's the Kaminoans. Like people,
I
there should be a
I
pretty
think
big paper trail. You know what I mean?
maybe you
They had
would
that
love
ready to go before
maybe
Obi-Wan
you
got
would
there.
love the Republic Commando books because that's literally a plot point in the books where they're like, how the hell did the Republic fund all of this in like one day? Where is this money coming from? That
Mhm.
was like a big part of those books.
Yeah, because I think
I
it,
think the
it
answer was basically just, cooking the books and like shaving off funding from like healthcare and stuff.
well in Legends it turned out so Plagueis was a member of the banking clan,
Okay.
and he funded or at least the initial funding of building the clone army.
He was alive then? Plagueis died a long time ago.
Hideous killed him, so it couldn't have been that long ago.
He didn't do it. Wasn't that was like before Phantom Menace or something, wasn't
Not
it?
not very far before it.
It was the Clone Armies started production before Phantom Menace. 'Cause if you remember those Sifo-Dyas episodes, like he was working for Chancellor Valorum.
I don't remember those episodes because I have not seen them. But wait, so how old are the clones at Attack of the Clones? Like
About
10?
18, so about
Mm.
9, 10, yeah. They're
And
18
Anakin
biologically, so they'd be around 10. Anakin was 10 in Phantom Menace,
9. He went from 9 to
like
like
17 or
17. I
maybe,
guess so.
maybe
I guess
19. I
so.
think he's 19 in Attack of the. I don't remember, but yeah, the clones started cooking shortly before Phantom Menace. And
Guess
obviously
so.
there's probably a lot of like R&D before that happened too. But I think they made the all of their gear too. Maybe they outsourced, but maybe like their previous thing was like sort of like 1-to-1 scale action figures. And so they had like a the accessory department was already there to like make stuff. Like your favorite movie hero, you can just buy a life clone version of him to be like your toy and run around in your backyard, and he just plays along with you and you like reenact your favorite movies. Ryan W. met someone the other day named pronounced Charlie, spelled Tzarl.
Oh no.
Were they
I do
like,
that to someone.
what a Romanov or whatever was?
Oh my
Zarly.
god!
Hello,
Wow.
my name is Zarly. I want to restore the Tsar. Yeah, that's a really good one.
There's so
I'm
many that
gonna
are
let's
like. Go
They're
ahead.
just like, oh, I wanna just do a normal name but spell it differently, which is always a bad move. My favorite one that from my own experiences when I was working at NDSU, my boss, who was a very cool person, had a kid and they named her Aya, if I recall correctly, AYA. And I was like, well, that's a neat name. And she explained that they had been watching Game of Thrones at the time,
Oh no.
and they liked the name of Ned Stark's youngest daughter. And at the time, they didn't realize her name was Arya because all of the characters say it different because they have accents.
Oh boy.
That's pretty sad. Hope the kid finds it that funny. Or just changes their name. I don't know. I guess you get used to it. You don't really care who you're named after.
Oh, here's a
Just
good
like,
one. It's Fay Theta, as in the Greek letter, pronounced faith.
well, yeah, I mean, it's not as bad as like Elon Musk's name that they legally couldn't end up doing. One of his
Well,
kids'
he
names,
does
right?
have a legally named child named like Mechanicus.
Yeah, it was like
Some like
Technomancer or something.
Technus Mechanicus. But they call him Tau for short.
God, such a weird guy. Yeah, it's like literally like the name of like a Mad Max bad guy or like
oh, here's a
a
good one.
He-Man bad guy or something. It's
I'm looking at
bad.
some posts on that subreddit now. Moatly. We love the concept of moats and the protection they provide. The same protection we
Okay.
plan to provide for our firstborn, so we made a name out of it. Moatly.
Okay. There's so many that are like, I mean, those are all bad
Oh, this
too.
can't be real. My friends have finally decided their baby name, which sounds to me like an extreme tragedy. The name is, for a boy, Ninja Mandalorian Deshaun Roblox Star Wars.
My
No, this has got to
God.
be a joke. Pretty sure they're
Yeah.
positive about this being the name. This has to be a shit post.
Sometimes it's like I read those and I'm like, yeah, shit post, but other times I'm like, I don't know, maybe because okay, one time I stopped at a gas station to fill up with gas. As I'm in there, I hear there's like a mom and she yells for her children, and she's like, there were three of them. Oh, I forget what the first name was. She said, so it must have been a kind of normal one, but so she's all like, come on, it's time to go. Let's get back in the car. Bobby, let's go. Come on, Bobby. Come on, Rainbow. Come on, Labia.
Wow.
And I was like, what the fuck? Did you just call your kid?
Some of these are like pet names. It's like
That's
naming
like
your
child
pet.
abuse.
Yeah.
But like, I wonder if there's because so many diseases sound like pretty names, like Ebola. You know,
I bet there's people named that. Yeah.
That was a
Do you
Mad TV
really know what it
sketch.
was?
Was it?
Yeah, well, not they didn't name it, but they were like, it was a Mad TV sketch where they were like, we need to come up with the new like hip word. It was supposed to be like a focus group trying to figure out like the new cool word, and like the word they ended up settling on was Ebola. They're like, yeah, man, that's pretty Ebola.
A lot of the kid names I see in our work data is not as like outright bad as the ones you've said, but it's just like I just don't
Mhm.
understand. It'll like it. There's a lot of like ending words. Like people want their kid to be named after like a made up job. Like it started with Hunter, but then it proceeds to like Bridger and Porter, Piper, Potter, and then like I'm guessing there's a kid out there named like Blaster, right? Like they want to like
You know what? That kid is
it's like a cool
probably.
name.
I like that one. That's awesome. My name's Blaster. He always has a cigarette or a toothpick.
Makes me want to watch. Makes me want to watch Space Mutiny, the second best episode of Mystery Science Theater ever.
Have you seen that one, Joe?
No, I have not
Wow.
seen.
Because they spend there's a character in the movie, and they spend a lot of the episode constantly making up new names for this character. So he gets names like Beef Sizzle Beast and just
Blast McHard cheese.
yeah.
This one sounds. My hubby and I are expecting a little boy. So exciting! We've been going back and forth between names. Want something super edgy and offbeat. We're between Sledge, Razor, Rayzyr, Clipper.
Okay. At least the razor in my kids' class was just spelled normal razor.
Clipper and James.
Clipper, yeah, that's a name for a dolphin.
They want their kids to sound like active. It's a doer, but it doesn't sound like a first name
This
to me.
kid's name is Thanos Skywalker.
Oh my god.
Like anus, but with an O.
Thanos.
Especially
Oh,
Like,
Thanos.
naming your
This
character
purple guy.
after a very bad guy is very weird.
See, I
Why?
went subtle with naming my kids after Star Wars stuff.
I think you were ahead of the curve too. I see. It seems like
'cause-
Liam's a pretty popular name these
Yeah,
days.
because my son's names are Liam and Ewan.
In the chat, people are talking about Elon Musk's kid.
Oh, I messed up a little ways back.
Yeah,
on
it's
that.
so it's like
I still can't believe Charlie spelled like Czar. That's so good.
Yeah, that's really bad. So if I remember right, the Elon Musk again that they had to change the name because it was so bad. But I think the AE symbol is pronounced Ash. So I think
Oh,
it's
wow.
X Ash Alpha 12 or something. I think is how they say it. Something. It's really.
I listened to
That's
the
so
first. The Dollop is doing a multi-part series on Elon Musk, and his grandfather was part of a technocracy society in Canada
Of
who
course.
didn't want there to be democracy, but only, like scientists and stuff should be the ones who run society.
Right. Uh-huh.
And
So
part of their deal was they all got rid of like their names and only used like,
no,
letter number
that was
signifiers.
just a trend among them. It wasn't like a required
Ah.
thing or anything like that. Just some of them did
Yeah.
that.
Did you start listening to that one?
Yeah, let's start listening to that today. To answer Joseph's question, or it's not really a question. He makes a statement that Santa Claus Conquers the Space Martians is the best MST3K episode, which is, I mean, objectively false. Everybody knows that Final Sacrifice is in
Yes.
fact the best episode.
Yes, easily.
If you haven't seen Final Sacrifice, go do it. It'll change your life forever. You will learn
that
if
about
there's beer
Jesus?
on the sun.
Would you say, Joe?
Sounds like it's about Jesus.
No,
And
it's about a cult in Canada,
the cult of the
and
Zeox.
about the ancient Zeox warriors or their ancient civilization. They had a floating city, floating to the
We've got
sky.
Peter von
So-
Bleichert, who's must be some kind of German nobility, also known as Peter from Denver. My brother lives in Denver. Denver's cool. He wants to know if he likes the snow trooper bike. Blizzard Force question mark?
Yes, Blizzard Force. Yes. Period.
Yeah, yes, exclamation mark.
MST3K would be a good mini painting movie Monday if there's a way to do the
I think
streaming
there's
thing.
a number of them
They're
on
on Netflix
Amazon.
now.
Yeah,
Maybe they're
or
not on Amazon anymore.
even if there's not, yeah. Oh no, there's lots of MST3K episodes on Amazon and
Yeah.
lots of riff tracks also. Plus they have there's an MST3K and a riff tracks channel on Pluto TV, which is
Wow.
free to stream.
Yeah, because we usually do Amazon when we do mini painting movie Mondays. So that would
For
work.
those in the chat that don't know, it's kind of a, I don't know, an ongoing, whatever, habitual thing on Mondays on our Discord. People will get on Monday nights and watch the same movie together and chat while painting, kind of like this, but not streamed.
Yeah,
to
we
the
don't
public.
stream. Yeah, we don't.
Instead of
Discord.
what? Yeah, it's not live, and instead of watching Leo, we're all watching a movie.
Yeah, I think like we went through a phase where we watched nothing but Nicolas Cage movies. Depending on the movie we were watching that particular week, sometimes they were more entertaining than watching me. Sometimes they were way less entertaining.
Yeah, you tended to pick weird ones. A lot of weird movies you can find on Amazon.
So if that sounds fun to you, feel free to check out our Discord.
My favorite is still A Talking Cat.
Oh
But that was a good one. Was that?
I haven't seen the full thing, but what I've seen was extremely bad.
Oh, for Mini Painting Movie Monday, one time we watched The Cat from Outer Space, I think. For a while we were watching weird old ones on Disney Plus. They had some ones with like baby Kurt Russell where he like was a jock who took a medicine that made him a genius.
See, you say weird old movie. I say like the shit that I spent most of my childhood watching.
Yeah, I spent my childhood watching probably movies from that era, but not like the Disney type. More like, like John Wayne and Jimmy Stewart and that kind of crap.
See, me, like I said, okay, so like how I grew up, no cable, only 4 channels, much like you. Now, my my one grandma, um, every now and then the Disney Channel would do like a weekend where normally if you would on like your cable, if you change your channel to whatever the Disney Channel was, you'd just get fuzz if you weren't paying for it back in the day. But every now and then they do a free weekend and like unlock the channel for everybody. And whenever those weekends would come around, like my grandma would like record on her VCR like the entire weekend's worth of programming for me to watch.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, and so like usually during those weekends, it was, I mean, mostly what they would play is like their main shows, like the Mouseketeers and whatever other shows Disney Channel had on, like their main like kid sitcom kind of shows, and then the old movies from like the 70s. And so like yeah, so like the old like yeah, the Computer Wars sneakers and Shaggy Dog and the Nutty Professor and things like that. Like, you know, like that's stuff I watched a ton of as a kid.
So was the Nutty Professor, that was the black and white one, right? Or was there a different? Was there like three versions of that? Because there was the Robin Williams one called Flubber, and
Yeah.
then I'd only ever seen the Nutty Professor, which was like a black and white movie.
Yeah,
Like he
yeah,
had
the
like
old black
Model
and
T.
white one where he has like the old like Model T, the car that he
Okay,
puts the flubber into, and
wasn't sure if there was like a in between one where they made it in like the 80s or whatever. Did you ever
yeah.
have to watch Lawrence Welk?
My dad fucking loved Lawrence Welk.
The second most famous man from North Dakota.
Wow.
Are you telling us you're not a Welker?
No.
I mean, I never watched it. My older family members have, but they never made me watch it with them.
I don't, you know, the thing is with my dad is I don't think he really liked Lawrence Welk all that much. He knew I fucking hated it. So he would watch it just to torture me.
No, I'm certain my dad genuinely was very fond of it.
Let's see. Yes, Joseph, I have seen the reboot of MST3K. It's, you know, it's
Like the
technically
latest season on Netflix or
yeah.
what?
I mean, yeah, the Netflix stuff. I mean, it's technically, well, no, they've actually they've got stuff now that's not on Netflix though. Actually, I haven't seen the newest stuff because they have stuff that's
The kickstarted stuff.
yep, the kickstarted stuff that's like after their deal with Netflix ended here. So I haven't seen that, but I've, you know, like the Netflix stuff, I watched all that. I don't know if I'd call it a reboot because I mean, it's really just a continuation of the old stuff because it's like it's still kind of being produced and written by some of the old people, and like this the story, such as it is kind of a continuation of the old stuff.
I watched some of the Netflix ones, and I didn't like it as much as some of
Yeah, I
the
mean,
Mike episodes, which are my favorite. But there were some pretty good ones.
there was definitely some good ones. There wasn't any that like had me like in tears like some of the really good old ones could. Um, but I mean that's the thing though is there's a ton of old original episodes, so it's easy to kind of go back and cherry pick your favorite ones. But I mean
Yeah, there's
there's
lots of bad ones among the old ones for sure.
uh-huh. So I mean
Yeah, and I think that's part of it. Like you said, like it's easy to cherry pick, and you kind of only end up seeing the good one. Like I think it's kind of a downside of the Netflix model that you feel like I have to watch them all in order, right? Because that's kind of what it gives you by default. But if you were watching on Sci-Fi, you would just see a random one from you wouldn't see super old ones usually and stuff like that. So you'd probably only see some of the best ones. And the ones that came out on DVD after that were usually mostly the better ones.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of old ones I absolutely have not seen and probably would not enjoy.
Yeah, and there's I mean, but even of like some of the old famous ones, there's like Mono's Hands of Fate is like even
It's kind of hard to get through.
yeah, even in the even as they're riffing on it, it's still hard to watch. I mean, there's a reason why at one point in the movie, I think Tom Servo just screams at the movie, "Do something!" 'Cause
The best ones are definitely when they find that nice middle ground of it's like bad, but it's not so terrible. Like a lot of the black and white ones are really hard for me to watch because they're so old and so bad. There's just like nothing happening. But like Final Sacrifice is a great example of like it's just bad enough that you can really enjoy how bad it is
yeah,
and still be watchable. Like I think most of the best ones are like that.
yeah, I think some like the what is it called, like the brain that wouldn't die. I think that's one of the only like black and white episodes that I really care for all that much, to be honest. Um, but yeah, there's some real classic ones. Like I especially love when famous or like semi-famous people crop up in the movies. Like there's a few like Outlaw has Jack Palance in it, or you know Puma Man has Donald Pleasance, and
Right, I forgot that.
um, or like
That's a good one.
Master Ninja I has the Master Ninja. I mean, it's got like Kathy Ireland in it, or no, or is it Courtney Cox? I think it's Courtney Cox, maybe. I don't know. It's some famous lady. It's been a long time since I've seen it, and like like
Haven't seen that one.
Lee Majors in it, and any of the Joe Don Baker movies.
Yeah. Or I like when you see like Martin Sheen's brother, Joe
Joe
Estevez,
Estevez, yeah.
who looks just like him but is not good at acting.
Yeah, he's dumpy Martin Sheen.
That reminds me, I think I saw that they're making a Young Guns 3.
Oh jeez. So, um, yeah, Joseph, I know like a lot of times the reason they don't end up riffing on a lot of more modern movies is because they couldn't get the rights to do them. Um, like when they do like these mystery science theater things, they have to be able to get permission from whoever owns the movie. But that's why the riff tracks stuff is really cool. I don't know if you've ever
Yeah.
checked them out, but it's like they just do an audio track and then you play the audio track while you watch the movie at home. And that does let them do more modern movies. And
Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and stuff. Which
honestly,
can be really fun.
I highly suggest people check out the riff tracks for Twilight. It's oh my god, I don't think
Just watched that the other day.
I've
Wow.
ever. It's one of the funniest damn things I've ever watched in my life.
I might have to check that. We friend's birthday party, she made us all watch Twilight together, and I'd seen it before, but it's such a fun movie to watch with a group. We also had they made bingo, so like all the cards were different and they had different stuff like, oh, look, when Edward looks constipated, or when Bella falls over, or when somebody says something creepy. And so it was fun, like being like, shirtless guy, I got a bingo.
Yeah, I think like every time Edward looks constipated in the movie, someone is like makes like sort of like constipated, uncomfortable noises. They just sit there going like.
Riff Tracks also does really great like those old like school educational short films too. Those are always
Yeah.
really
Reefer
good.
Madness and stuff,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. The after school special, I think that's what they call them.
Well, more like I mean, I think they have done Reefer Madness, but
Yeah.
also
But just in general, like the old educational films where it's like, what can you do with corn?
right.
That there's a British show called Look
Corn
Around
a
You. Have you
grass.
guys watched that?
Yeah, that's great. That one's intentionally
Right. It's like
yeah.
a spoof on dry educational stuff. Look around you.
Yeah, starring Peter Serafinowicz, the original voice of Maul. As
Yeah.
Evan knows. I don't know if Evan's still watching anymore.
Everybody knows that. Evan seems to have left. I feel like it's a bad time to mention that I really haven't seen any MST3K. I might have seen like one or two, and if I have, it's been a while.
Right.
It's a very big influence on my style of humor.
Well, we've also just talked about how you guys watched it when it was airing on Sci-Fi, and how I never had Sci-Fi.
Yeah, but like even in college,
That's probably when I saw a couple when I
mm.
did.
we should do some for mini painting Monday.
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
We'll just have
Just
to.
these days, I tend to start later because I have class on Monday nights.
Yeah, that's the problem. Is like you've kind of ruined mini painting Monday, Joe.
Yeah.
Well, we
Thanks,
could
Joe.
do it in the morning before work.
Okay. Well, like I said, I'm up at 6, so that's 4 a.m. for you. So you ready? You getting up?
uh,
For the JodoCast, anything.
man, painting these commandos is boring.
But at the same time, it would be not such a bad one where, like, like if I have to dip out because I've probably, whatever MST 3K we end up watching, I will probably have already seen it before. So it's like, I won't feel bad having to leave early because it's all like, well, no big deal. I already know what happens, and I could probably quote at least half the movie to you already,
Right.
anyways, depending on what one we're watching. Like there's some, like yeah, like Space Mutiny, Final Sacrifice. I've seen those so many times. Um, like MST3K the movie. Like
That
like
was the first one I ever saw um, when I was really too young to even understand, and it really did not work. Like I needed a few years before the concept of MST3K worked for me.
yeah.
It's also not a very good movie.
What? That movie is I love MST3K. I love the movie. I think it's right up there
I
with
just mean as far
some
as
of
like
the oh.
you know being able to enjoy the movie on its own merits in a way.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like it's like too bad. I haven't seen that one in a long time. Maybe I'd like it more now.
May
But
your forehead grow like the mighty oak. Me and some of my friends from college, like we watched it all the time in college, and we still will quote it to each other sometimes. Especially my friend named Joe, because there's a character in the movie named Joe also. So we'll pull out some Joe quotes every now and then.
Okay, time to do pure white highlights on these guys. Then I guess they're done. Besides the bases, and if I want to give them some kind of unique squad markings. To look at some, I feel like I should give them some kind of blue.
in the one that shows up in Bad Batch, isn't it just kind of like a yellow shoulder or something?
That's specifically Scorch from the Republic Commando games, I believe.
Oh,
He's
really?
got yellow and like dark gray. A lot of them have like dark
Hmm.
gray plus a color. But so I'll have to look at some like Republic Commando schemes and see if any of them strike my fancy. But I'm definitely not going to paint any to be specifically the ones from the video game because these aren't them. These are just commandos. And they curious to see how Delta Squad is in uh, Legion, but it would be real cool for Shatterpoint to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm assuming they're gonna do just a thing like uh, Imperial Special Forces, where it's not like you actually get any different sculpts or anything. It's just you get different cards, and then you can paint them as Delta Squad if you want.
Yeah, that would make sense to me.
Like a single special forces unit that
Yeah,
might
like
have
Clan Run.
Yeah, it's like you'll have just
Yeah.
a generic commando card, and you'll have a Delta Force card. I assume.
I wonder if the Delta Force guys will be
Delta Squad.
possible to take as upgrades in other squads the way we do with like Echo and Fives or whatever, you know?
Or Dell and Gideon with
That
special
Mhm.
forces.
that would be cool. I would hope so. If it
Yeah.
just says Republic clone trooper only, as opposed to
Yeah, I want to be able to run Gregor with D Squad.
D Squad when then I'll finally start buying Republic. I want D Squad for Shatterpoint.
How about a D Squad Battle Force?
It's just like 6 units. They're
Because
all
they're so expensive, you know, they would take up your whole army.
but they all have inconspicuous except for uh Gascon, and he has a special thing that like because BZ has closed transport, but only for one specific unit. He's only allowed to transport Gascon.
I love the idea of an entire inconspicuous army and your opponent just cannot play the game against you. You're just like running away from them.
Because they're like, "What is that? We gotta get closer to find out if it's a threat or not." You're like, "Nope, keep your distance, keep your distance."
You get victory points every turn. You remain inconspicuous, and you just like play keep away from their stuff.
I like the
See, how do you paint as fast as you do, Joe? Because I said, how do you paint as fast as you do? Because like here, okay, tonight, it's now been 2.5 hours since we started streaming, and I've got the gray bits done on these two guys in 2.5 hours.
I'm almost done with 2 clone commandos.
Yeah.
I don't know. My fingers move faster. I take less care to stay in the lines. I don't have an answer. Watch one of the previous streams where I'm streaming, and then you can watch like the.
I imagine I'm gonna tune into it, and you're gonna have like you'll just be painting with like you'll have like a brush like this size, and you're just slapping it on.
Uses the special Looney Tunes paint that is one pot and it covers everything in the correct colors all at once.
Joseph wants to know if we've ever watched all of the holiday special in its entirety.
I have.
I've never made it through.
I think at least 3 times I have.
I've tried at least 3 times, and I never can make it very far.
I've seen it. 2 of those 3 times included the ads, which I think is the way you need to watch it, with the original ads.
That actually sounds
commercial
awesome.
breaks. Yeah.
Yeah.
The first time I watched it was with my buddy in college. We watched it on a laptop together, and there was this kind of like soul draining. And then the second and third times I watched it, it was in a movie theater with a bunch of, like a packed like indie theater, and it was, some kind of charity event each time. And that's the best way to watch it because you're in a crowded theater full of people who are also suffering and laughing.
And cosplaying and stuff, right?
Yeah, that the one time there was a guy cosplaying as this one of the weird circus freaks, that
Acrobatic.
lumpy,
Yeah.
watches on. I was like, what the fuck is that? And then 30 minutes into the thing, I go, oh my god, that guy was dressed up as that guy from the thing.
It's pretty wild.
You can watch the cartoon on Disney Plus.
And I think there is a Rift Tracks version. Joseph was saying, dang, MST3K needed to rip on that lol. And so there is a Rift Tracks version, but even that I found too hard to get through because it's just like so bad. It definitely helps to have them telling jokes, but it's like so hard to get through.
It's part of your culture, though, as a Star
Yeah.
Wars person.
I mean, I know the important parts, which is Wookiees talking in Shariwook to each other for half an hour straight or
Watching VR porn.
whatever.
And
Right?
Stir Stir Whip, the cooking show. Stir Stir Whip, Stir Stir Whip. Because Mala watches a cooking show because she's got to prepare the food for the family. And then the person on the cooking show all of a sudden busts out an extra pair of arms to do the, stirring. And she's flustered because she doesn't have 4 arms. Classic comedy. And then Jefferson Starship has a music video.
Mm-hmm.
And then Lumpy has a really cute stuffed bantha that the Imperial like rips. It's heartbreaking, genuine emotion.
So
And then,
canonically, it takes place after A New Hope, obviously, because the heroes all know each other, but it takes place before Empire Strikes Back, which hadn't even come out yet, right? So
right.
it's somewhere in the
Well,
post
not
Yavin timeframe.
canonically because it's not considered canon.
In the canon of the holiday special,
Yes.
H canon.
Maybe we should do our holiday special commentary this year for Life Day. Life Day is November
God.
13th or something.
I was gonna
It
say
aired
like
in November.
Yeah, I was gonna say like November 20th, or I don't know. You
I
might
think
be
it's
right.
like early November.
Probably gonna be. I'll be busy deer hunting whenever that is. Whatever day it is, I'm gonna be deer hunting. Sorry.
You can stream it into your phone while you're out in the woods.
It was the first depiction of Kashyyyk. Famously, the almost first depiction of Boba Fett.
November
The
17th, 1978.
Oh, it's close. The actual first appearance of Boba Fett was some parade in some town in
Anaheim,
California.
I think.
I don't think it was Anaheim. I feel like it had a name that I don't remember.
I just saw a post about it because the day it happened was like September. Let me find it. I'm pretty sure I posted it on the Discord. Do-do-do. But yeah, it's fun that people tend to think of the holiday special as a Christmas thing, but really it's kind of more Thanksgiving in a lot of ways.
I mean, it was a holiday special for, I wonder if at the time they were doing a lot of Christmas specials in November for whatever reason.
Let's see, September 24th. This year was the 45th anniversary. Boba Fett's first public appearance. Oh, 1978, San Anselmo Country Fair Day and Parade.
Yeah, so you told it was of some weird name.
So yeah, that was like less than 2 months before the holiday special. I want to watch the video here. I assume it's like
Holiday special Boba Fett, one of my collection weaknesses. I see a holiday special Boba Fett, I got to have it.
And watching this parade footage, it looks to me like the late prototype Boba Fett armor with like the yellow gauntlet and the different shoulder symbol.
Is it in color? I don't know if I've ever actually seen
Yeah,
that footage.
it's really bad color, but yeah, it's just a little ways up in the Star Wars General channel. You scroll it just past the GR75 video. It's kind of neat. It's just kind of walking next to Darth Vader.
That's where I'd go if I had a time machine. San Anselmo.
Like try call him out on like canon stuff that he doesn't know yet. Hey, Boba, Django called. You have fun in the Sarlacc pit, Boba. George Lucas is
Taking
Taking
notes.
notes.
as you like assassinated. He has like takes you to back room. How do you know? How'd you know about my dream about the Sarlacc?
Okay.
Well, I think I'm gonna be done for tonight. I kind of hit a wall on these B2s. I don't know what color to do next.
Oh,
so
yeah, I don't even think we ever asked you what you were painting.
Yeah, I was finishing up my first base of B2s, which are I kept doing a Bedlam Raider style. Those turned out fine. I don't know what to do with the second one though. I put a little blue on them. It looks kind of dumb. I don't know.
I used a
I
blue
just want to
gray
get them
for my
done.
guys. Mine went really fast. I did like a blue gray, washed them in blue, and then like did a dry brush in the same blue gray, and then like lightened it, and then did like another dry brush, and then lightened it, and just did some edge highlights, something like that. They went real fast.
Yeah, I should just try to keep it simple and just kind of get them done and not overcomplicate it. I just like haven't had a lot of time for hobby, and so it's like I just need to get them done and like move on to a different project. Maybe do some non-Shatterpoint stuff for a little while and just do something different. But I need to get this squad done first.
I want to get to my terrain. Oh, I want to get my high ground box painted before I continue with the Shatterpoint stuff. It took me forever to paint the core set terrain. Wasn't that fun to paint.
That's too bad.
It was okay. It just felt more tedious than most things. Joseph wants to know what Lumpy's command cards would be. I don't think he has enough. He's just generally kind of annoying, but he does put together a phone. He's got a toy that's some kind of computer, and he puts it together and as a phone. I can't remember if he succeeds in putting it together or he's watching a hologram of like the instructions to put it together, and he gets frustrated. So maybe he gets a comms upgrade slot for one. He's got a
Okay.
comms upgrade slot, but he has a thing that says he's dumb. That says the equipped upgrade cannot be used, and then he has a command card that says for one turn you get to use that. You lose the keyword that the he's dumb keyword.
Mm-hmm. I remember he likes to play with a toy X-wing, but I don't know how that like translates into a Legion.
He's a tactical
Mechanic.
genius. That's what that means. Air support. He knows how to give Grandpa privacy when Grandpa needs to watch his VR porn. So
He's
maybe
mostly just like
that,
annoying, right? I feel like
I mean,
he's
he's
like
just
demoralized.
yeah. You would have to distracting. I think that's a keyword, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, distracting, demoralize, probably non-combatant.
Yeah, that's fair. Would Legion allow you to kill a child? Or would there be a rule where you cannot do damage to him?
You have Grogu in the game already, and you can take him out.
Yeah, but he's 50.
True.
He's an old man.
He's also like becomes a token when Din is defeated.
So though, that's apparently why there's no Anakin Skywalker card, like character card, in any of the Episode 1 sets for the Decipher, the Star Wars CCG.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's no Anakin Skywalker character card at all. Because there was like They were apparently supposedly worried about, you know, players killing a child.
Huh.
I mean, they do the same thing in like Bethesda games, but it's a little different when it's tabletop. You don't see any
Yeah,
actual
but most
lasers.
maybe this was before they discovered this little like workaround, which is just declaring enemies defeated rather than killed, which is
Right.
what pretty much all Star Wars and um, even like a lot of games like Fortnite, it's an elimination. It's not a kill or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I think it's more because like the weapon rules specifically say that you hit the character with the weapon.
That yeah, I could see that.
I mean, because like when a character is, dies, it's lost. It goes into your lost pile. So it's not saying, it doesn't say that it's killed or anything like that. It's just it's lost. So that, like semantics wise, they were okay there. But like I said, maybe it's something with like, the like I said, the fact that the weapons specifically say, when you hit with the weapon or whatever.
Yeah.
When you hit with the weapon, this character's skull is crushed. It's fractured. He suffers real brain damage.
We have to go every time you do this. We send someone to Jake Lloyd's place and we punch him.
No.
Poor Jake.
Joseph says, "Careful with what y'all say. Lumpy is going to come out and throw off the whole meta," which I do think would happen. Because here's the thing: the way we've described his stats, he's not very good. So he would be very cheap, and people love a cheap activation. He's going to be an auto include in every army because he's going to be like 10 points and be like, "Yep, I can waste an activation." So
Can you imagine if your
have
your
to go.
army commander was 10 points?
He can still hold objectives. That's the thing. You can't kill this child Wookiee, and he can go sit on objectives.
Maybe they'll do something like that with Jar Jar. Make him like a really cheap commander that has some kind of like chance to have negative effects to your units.
Maybe, but I will
He
say
he has no command cards, only flaw cards, and the opponent just has to play him every round.
in practice, so like that kind of stuff always is, it sounds really thematic and stuff like that, but like in practice tends to be not super fun to play,
Yeah.
which is why you don't see stuff like that all that often.
I'm gonna figure out. So I put some random markings on these guys. I'm gonna go over all the like work I just did with my white, which feels bad. Maybe these guys are fine just being generic commandos, which is what they are. You don't need any colors, do you, buddy?
At least put some cool like scratches and weathering on there. Make their armor kind of beat up and dirty. That's what I say.
Yeah. I'll try and think of how to
Don't
just
fall
put some
over.
little, get some gray, put some tiny little dots and lines on them. Might be good enough. Yeah, these guys are decorated. Maybe I could put the little like Gregor style kill tallies on this guy's helmet or something.
Like,
I
I
is
said
it
I was
just
gonna
little-
log off, and then you guys kept me talking, so I will
Sorry.
actually log off now.
No.
but-
You can't.
See
Yeah,
you
what's-
guys. It was fun.
Okay.
I gotta go
Okay,
to
good
bed.
night.
Fine.
Bye.
What are the Gregor kill markings? Are they like just like hash marks, sort of like Rex
yeah,
has?
his whole helmet is covered in them though.
Because like I tried to do some Rex hash marks, but they just sort of ended up looking more like just more scratches and stuff in his armor.
Yeah, I didn't do that with Rex.
Rex is still the only Shatterpoint mini I've 100% completed painting. Well, except for putting a like a matte varnish on him. But
Once I get these clones done, I can do Barris, and then there'll be another set done. I've got the core set done, the Cad Bane box done, the Obi-Wan box done, Dooku box done. Is that it? Core, Dooku, Obi-Wan, Cad Bane. Yeah, I think that's it. And then I've almost got the Luminara box done.
too many boxes under my desk here. Keep getting in the way of my feet. Well, you know what? My knee is really starting to bother me, so I don't think I can sit here any longer.
Sounds
been-
like a good place to stop.
Been almost 3 hours, anyways. So, well, thanks for stopping out, Ryan. Thanks for hanging out, Joseph, who is not our Joe.
Yeah, thanks everybody for coming out. We'll sure to hop on our Discord if you want to. Probably the best way to find out when we do this. They're almost always on Tuesday nights, but they're not, like every Tuesday night.
Yeah, we usually do 1 to 2 a month. So, anyways, good night, everybody.
Bye.